Good evening, RPG Limit Break and Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise fans. Welcome to this Cat Claw group match between two of the oldest hats at Free Enterprise, Eizan Tayama and Scratchdragon. They've been here since the Highway to the Zenith Zone 1 tournament way back when, and this is actually their first ever head-to-head matchup. They've been in some multiplayer matches and tournaments before, but this is the first time they're head-to-head, and I'm excited to see it. I'm Inven. With me in the booth tonight is Poidrak. Poidrak, you're kind of on top of this Cat Claw group right now. What have you seen in these opponents, and what should we be looking for tonight in the matchup?
Fireworks, but I'm just here to scout out the opposition. Sure, I faced Scratchdragon already. I got the win somehow. I still got to face Eizan, I believe, later this week, but there are still opportunities with how things are panning out that I may have to face Scratchdragon again. So I want to know as much as I can, so I'm going to keep my eyes peeled quite a lot here.
Gotcha. Here also behind the scenes, we got Akir handling tracking and Alicel doing the restream, keeping everything running for us so we can just enjoy the show. These objectives tonight got a Kane start and a whole lot of completes and conquers on that objective list. Looking like 2 different moon altars, the Giant of Babel, Cave Bahamut, 4 different things gated by the Darkness Crystal, and then a smattering of others. How do you like these seeds when you have just an abundance of things on the moon and past?
The one thing I've had an issue with in all of these races is I have not found a very good way of actually routing one of these types of seeds, because you're wanting a lot of things, and in this one where you're wanting the Darkness Crystal, you don't know where it is. You sort of have to follow your trails, follow your key item trails, because you know one of them is going to lead you to the moon, and that one thing could be giving you the rest, because Lukiki is still needed, the Earth Crystal is still needed, package is still needed. They might all be on the moon waiting for you.
Yeah, so it's going to definitely be a curious question, when do you start tackling those objectives? We love to say in this community, prioritize your objectives, at least the ones that can gate further objectives, because, you may do that and then immediately find that it gated your entire go mode. But on the other hand, these seeds, this flag set with the 7 of 7, usually pretty high completion. So sometimes there's an argument to be made for staying on the blue planet, getting a little more preparation on your team, a few more key items, rounding things out, so you can just do the moon all at once and do it quickly. So we'll see what approach each of these racers takes tonight.
Yeah, I also know that you, considering the flag set of this, as one of the things that you like about it is how the early game looting is key.
Yeah, and we have a very potent starter team here. Kane, Rosa, that's a legend sword, got Kamikazes, Vampires, and Coffins in that starting kit. Yeah, this team's going to get online pretty quickly here. It's not one of those, 90 HP baby teams with an Edward and Iridia. This is a team that can really start putting the damage out in a hurry. You just need a few good pieces of gear to get it rolling.
Yeah. Kane has a little bit of a disadvantage in this flag set because most of his best gear is gated behind some of those trap chests, but you still do have the opportunity to find white spears, his defense swords in normal chests if the quality of that particular area is high enough.
And here we go, runners going side by side directly to the free item at Edward. There's no Demist hunt, there's no other boss hunt. This flag set, you get your freebie, and you get to keep on moving, and today that payout is music.
Well, I don't think we're going there just yet.
Definitely not. Aside from the fact that this team just doesn't have the oomph to get through that spot, you really want a source of exit as well. Walking out of that cave always feels pretty bad and time consuming.
Yeah. Now we're going to see the looting begin, and starting up with the Troya public treasury. Not the greatest of things usually found here, but you can sometimes find some nice little bits to get you started.
Oh yeah, and then there's also a balance to be struck between, like, there are places that will have the better loot tables here on the T Wildish, and even in the next flag set on the T Pro flag set. But sometimes just density and having the chance to get a little bit of spending money, maybe even just a little bit of mid-tier stuff, just so you can start taking on these early game boss fights, which Eizan might be doing. We see a trip heading over to Damcyan and probably Antlion Cave to follow.
Yeah, Scratch selling off a few little things, having a quick check of the shops. Likely isn't going to buy a whole lot here, but it's mostly just to find out what's here, anything that might be useful later. Your frees are one of the things that might be on his bucket list.
Yeah, Cure 3s, Ether 1s, and Ether 2s. So as far as curatives go, very nice. And we have to come back here at some point to complete the Tower of Zod. So good stuff to keep in mind if you end up with mage heavy team, or you just feel that you need to have those in the bag. Here in the Damcyan basement, Eizan pulls out a couple of nice pieces of armor. Ninja shirt for Edge, which, although once a meme, has kind of come into vogue these days, and a sorcerer robe. Great piece of gear for any mage.
Yeah, the advent of the Sea-Neki flag has really brought the ninja shirt into a little bit more of a star in people's eyes, because sometimes you just don't find those black belts, that strength gear, and a ninja shirt is perfectly serviceable on that edge.
Oh yeah, doesn't give the strength boost, but does give agility boost, and just has such good physical and magic defense, which to be peeking ahead a little bit into the future as well. The next stage of the tournament, the back row glitch flag is turned off. So at that point, getting decent armor on your team becomes even more important. So this is going to be the tournament for Ninja Shirt to really shine, I think. I'm excited.
Yeah, lots of magic defense as well. A stat that Edge usually lacks. So very nice there, especially when in some of the later hard-hitting spots.
Yeah, and we see yet another Lunar Sparkle here. We had one back at Beigen and one here. The double D Lunars. Definitely a nice spot for them. I don't think you're going to have to worry about doing any kind of froggy strats or anything. Should be able to get through this with just your curatives, that dancing dagger. Lots of ways to deal with this fight right now.
Yeah, the Cure 2s are likely going to be the big way, but Kane is jumping on Eizan's side. Right. There's going to be a bit of damage coming out, but I don't think anyone's going to worry too much, except maybe that fire armor on Scratchdragon's cane.
Oh, yeah. You put it on because you think, I'd like to have this physical defense, but it does increase the damage taken from fire. And Scratchdragon's cane taking a little bit of a nap here.
Yeah, and if you get him up, he's just going to go down again because he's weak to that fire, and that last D-Luna will cast fire in response to everything.
Yeah, our runners here, neck and neck, clearing this fight, getting their tier 2 spells on Palom, but yeah, Scratch's cane not getting a few levels of XP here. We'll see if that starts to steamroll a little bit for Eizan in these upcoming fights, but right now, neck and neck, walking down Hobbs.
I don't think Scratch is going to be too downhearted about that. Kane can get his experience later fairly easily. The most important bit there was Palom getting those tier 2 spells, getting him online, getting him doing some damage against those elemental weak bosses, which are likely going to come up very soon.
And Eizan here, not taking the save outside of Antlion. But also not looting much. Okay, does appear to be going to the save room. I thought we were going to see a little bit of YOLO here as both these runners seek to get their first win in the tournament. And a Ninja Blade in the save room. Very nice piece of gear. Edge is not a gated character on this flag set, so he could be waiting somewhere as soon as Baron in for the team.
Yeah, Edge is the big prize in a lot of people's eyes in the early game, and he just enables so much. He's not completely required, but he makes things a heck of a lot easier. And, well, Scratchdragon has fixed his fire armor problem just now.
Yeah, the vanilla Charm Harp room giving Dragoon Mail, you love to see that. You get the triple elemental resistance, you get dragon defense, you get a ton of physical defense. Just fantastic piece of gear. We're seeing that go on in a hurry.
Yeah, the strengthening also found not really too helpful with a dancing dagger as your weapon, but I don't think he's going to mind with this upcoming boss. Eizan, King, Queen, and Evelyn, he's looking at that and going, do I need to fight this?
Yeah, the more annoyance here is that this is one of the proverbial freebies, right? This is a boss fight that, unless you go into it at 1 HP on your entire team and your controller fails, there's no chance of losing this fight. So you ideally like to see it at a much nastier spot in the game. So mark your freebies off. This one is out. But hey, Party Rock is in.
Yeah, it looks like we're heading back to Troya. One thing I'm a little with them both looting and lying, it's like they're sort of committing to that particular check. So if that hadn't been the Earth Crystal, I don't think we would have seen any resets like that, which from really a very lightly experienced given spot.
Oh yeah. Like sometimes if you already have really good gear going in there, it's nice to be able to just take the reset instead of having to walk it out. But between the Ninja Blade on Eizan's side and the Dragoon Armor on Scratch's side, like that alone, I think basically made the trip worthwhile, let alone all the loot we're about to get from this treasury.
Yeah, and this could be where we see something big for this Kane. Power Shirt is nice, lots of edge gear so far.
Kind of funny. We still don't have a good weapon for the Dragoon, but as soon as we find an edge, boy howdy, that is a full moon for the back row glitch, a Murasame and a Masamune. Just ridiculous gear, but we got to find him first.
Yeah, that was definitely armor. More armor than equipment, actual weapons for our team there, but edge definitely will be enjoyed. That Power Hour shirt is still going to be nice for Kane once we do find a weapon. It's just, where's the weapon?
Exactly. 3 ribbons, of course, nothing to scoff at either, giving tons of status immunity, great magic defense as well. Just very, very good treasury for this team. And we look like we have a little divergence going on here. Scratch is headed to Baron, Eizan's headed to Vabul. I like this play by Scratch here, because if there is an edge in the Baron Inn, you want him as soon as possible. The gear is too strong. You gotta get that ninja in your party if he's hanging out here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the second spot up in the Baron Inn might be a little bit difficult, but with all the armor that we've found, we shouldn't have too much of an issue with our characters being in the back row.
Absolutely. And other cute little things we have there's a grimoire there if you want to do a little YOLO and just try to high roll a summon to get through the fight, in case your other options, are a little slow. But vampire items from our starting kit do good damage. If it's vulnerable to insta-death, those coffins will clean it up for you. But
it starts with E.
Maybe this was a bad idea.
We'll reserve judgments until we actually get the key item from it, because it still might lead to an edge.
True. So only 400 HP to deal with in this first pod, and even though it's kind of punchy, completely whiffs on that heavily armored Kane. Mylon Z is down. Oh, we do see Scratch playing that grimoire. Yeah. He's getting ready to read.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Evil Wall in this particular spot, even with the armor that has been given, you're in for a rough time.
Yeah, very, very punchy. The way that Evil Wall also cheats the ATB by doing start a chain moves for its attacks, kind of also... This is a rather slow spot, and that lets it make up for a little bit of the slow speed. But, you know, between the tier 2 spells on the Kid, the Dancing Dagger on the Cane, if we see those vampires get thrown out, I think Scratch makes it through this fight just fine.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. I think he's just seen those vampires, so we'll probably see them being thrown out by maybe Rosa or Palom.
It's a nice way to top off those HP as well. Like with this armor, you know, you would expect this wall to one-shot a lot of teams, but with how heavily armored, even these squishies can take a bop or two. But the vampires are a great way to top that HP back up.
Eizan is through for ball though. Baigon being the boss there, just about to see what the key item is.
Love seeing Baigon and Evil Wall in these relatively easy spots though. Do not want to deal with them on the moon later.
Well, it's more armor.
You know, crystal armor, one of the ones that you don't usually want to use, because if you have a Cecil, you want him Zerking, and the Berserk immunity of that armor is something you can only overcome through certain glitch uses. But it sells for a ton of cash, and we got a few levels. You accept it, but you're not going to write home about it.
One of the things that these two runners haven't done yet, though, is really buy anything. They haven't really gone to any shops.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of a peek in Troya earlier, and ooh, Evil Wall did not like my besmirching of its strong character, but Scratch does eke out the win. One Dragoon standing.
And we have a forge.
Yeah, it's not one of our objectives today, but it is a guaranteed Excalibur and access to the advanced Kakol shop, so nothing wrong with that.
We've still got 3 spots we can go up ordeals now. With these particular characters, not really an incentive, but with the board maybe going up there for getting Cecil Paladin in the future may be a good thing. Or we've got music and Dot.
You know, that's one thing I'm also I think we saw both our racers got an exit item, and both of them used it already, which to me really says that they are fading that Twin Harp until after Zot at the earliest. You know you get exit on Rosa by completing Zot, so don't go to Cave Magnus if you can't instantly exit it. Just, I hope they both remember that and route accordingly.
Yeah, the usual order is to go to Twin Harp, up to Cave Magnus, and then to Zot, because doing Zot first does put you outside of Baron, and it's a little bit of a trek back. But in this case, it would be a little bit quicker to do Zot first and do that trip.
Yeah, just by virtue of Rosa being your white mage. If we had a Cecil, a Tella, Porum, any of them, I do like the other routing first because it saves you the flight trip, but here, remember what your party can accomplish.
Like Edward, being able to use a kamikaze.
I like the play. If you don't have a spoon or a really good bow and arrow, Eddie is not really going to be contributing to these fights. He's going to take turns when you'd rather be taking turns with your other characters. And even though his agility is pretty high at the start, he's still a serviceable anchor with the kind of gear we can see on this flag set. You end up getting everyone so fast that even his high speed is something that can be useful at base level.
Yeah, and one thing I have seen as a constant throughout all the races is people are going into this with a plan on what their final team is hopefully going to look like. Edward tends to not be in those plans. Yes, the spoon is available, so he can be a help a little bit later down the or early in the seed. But really, if you're wanting something later, you're not really wanting Edward.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that on a lot of flag sets with the spoon active, Edward is a great 5th character. Great fifth man on the team. The Spoon and Zerker strats can contribute a lot of quick, glass cannon damage in endgame boss fights. But with this party size max 4, it's real hard to give him an entire slot on the team with just how wimpy his HP pool is.
Yeah, slots are limited. If you've got a plan of what you want going in, you've got to make cuts somewhere.
Scratch doing a little more shopping, got a lot of money in the bank, picking up some more vampires and kamikazes for future use. Eizan has taken the ordeals route, seeing Karate Yang in the first spot. Won't be getting any paladin ouches at this spot to instantly end the fight, but physical attack power is so low, this fight's not going to be a problem. And this really does look to be hoping in the long run to get that Cecil. I like it. You have an X-Cal in the pocket. Definitely, I think Ordeals is a great play here.
And on the flip side, Scratchdragon is making the Zot check.
It's a reasonable call when you don't have a Cecil or a Fu or a Tella, but I still like getting the extra XP up on Ordeals before coming here. The two boss fights here in Zot can really throw a lot of parties for a loop if you don't already have really good damage online.
Yeah, and Palom without Virus or Quake at this particular stage going up to Zot is a bit of a difficult decision to justify it, honestly.
And we do have a back attack alt gauntlet, so you better hope that you get a Cecil soon, or at least there's a Cecil that motivates your opponent to do it. This is going to be a big time sink for Eizan here.
Yeah, the other little thing about what Scratch is doing is we still haven't really found a good weapon for that cane. That might be one of the reasons why he's coming up here, spring this trap chest, find something good out of it.
See Scratch burning that coffin from the starter kit just to make sure this thing dies in a hurry, not spending more time here than necessary.
Yep, that works.
That's a pretty good pull. Landing a lovely tier 7 item, the Avenger sword out of here. Avenger's super nice on this flag set. It's such a Zerker-oriented flag set, and now just having one fewer character you have to worry about buying Bacchus wine for. Being able to, if you get a duplicate character but only one really good weapon, you can do the Avenger glitch to where they both get the strength of that weapon. Avenger is such a huge pickup for Scratch here. That's going to make his life in this Tower of Zot much easier than it could have been.
Yeah, and it's compounded by the power shirt that was found, the strength ring that was found, and the ribbon. Covers a lot of bases.
It is pretty nice to see Dr. Luge at this spot. I always get annoyed when there's one enemy at this spot that has the combined HP pool of the Vanilla Magus Sisters, so it's nice that the HP is actually split 4 ways here now. Pretty generous spot to find Luge and Balnab, in my opinion.
Yeah, and with that Avenger on the go, the second form, which is really the most dangerous, this particular stage isn't really too bad. The second form, it's what, 3,000 around 3,000 hit points. That's what, four swings and done.
And the other nice part too. Oh, go ahead.
And you ignore the poison that's coming up. Gas, however.
That is one of those cute things, isn't it? Because once you get poisoned, you're actually immune to the gas because of status ailment priority in this game. But if you get your hit off first, well, Dr. Luge gets to counterattack and puts that cane to sleep both times. Very rude. But I don't think Scratch is in any danger this fight. It's just it's more insult than it is injury.
Eizan, on the other hand, I think that was the 4th fight of the back attack alt gauntlet. Takes a while to get through this. Yeah, this one's the number 5.
And Scratch's team, I'll note, was so fast, did finish that fight in spite of the double sleep before the poison came out. That is some agility power right there on this team. Wait, no, the poison.
The poison came out. Yeah.
I thought that he may have gotten it soon. Hey, we've not seen Edge yet, but you know who's pretty good?
Who's pretty good?
Who's pretty good?
It's difficult to say who is going to get an advantage out of this, because Eizan is likely going to be heading up, so it is a required check, and his Palom has been getting the benefit of these levels on ordeals, so is going to have Quake. So may get through that fight against Dr. Luge a little bit quicker.
Oh, and accordingly, we have seen our one duplicate character of this seed that is a second Palom, so we won't be doubling up on Canes or Cecils or Foos this time. But yeah, that Foo is a huge... The Foo and the Avenger, I think, if Scratch does go ordeals, he's going to have a pretty good advantage with that alt gauntlet. Just going to have spells that sweep them instantly instead of having to do it zombie by zombie the way that Eizan had to.
One of the things to check, though, is does Foo have exit?
Well, Rosa will know it when you're done with this fight anyway.
True, but yeah, never mind. I'm thinking of things backwards. I was just thinking, and you could go to Magnus, but you need to go up to get that. So never mind.
Oh, it's all good. We did get a Baron key and a squid in the mirror room up on ordeals. So this may still be required for Scratch anyway. This may be our way underground. Basically the full overworld available before we here in the booth saw a way underground. That's Baron key, that's Twin Harp, that's Earth Crystal. That's about all of it. That is all of it.
Unless you want to count down the hook, which is sort of in the middle somewhere.
We do see another semi-free fight here. These guards will be going pretty speedy at the Val spot. And I didn't quite get a full look at Foo's spell list, but he's chanting something. Going with stop. I guess we didn't have any really appealing insta-death spells. No stone, no fatal.
I think there was a lit free in there, but I don't think there was anything too large as a spell apart from that.
I do like the casting of stop there to prevent the counter spells from the guards. That way that Avenger Kane can just swing willy-nilly and not have to worry about a counter for every single attack. Pretty clever.
Eizan is having a look in Baron's shop, looking for a weapon for Edge. Sorry, looking for a weapon for Kane, because still hasn't found anything. And the Baron's shop had a lightsaber. Not something he can use.
It's a gated shop. I like the check. We know here in the booth a great thing for Eizan would be to hunt down that Flame Dog chest. And Scratch, meanwhile, finds the Darkness Crystal. No way underground yet, but that's access to a whole lot more objectives.
Yeah, that's pretty much opened up a whole lot. Over half the objectives. But yeah, there's a lot there. And Eizan is going to Cave Magnus.
Now, does Eizan still have a spare exit item in his inventory?
I honestly don't know.
Let's keep an eye out for that during the menuing, because walking out of here is very nasty. But, if Eizan gets like a magma key here, or the hook, the way to underground, it'll still be a great pickup. You just hate walking.
Yeah, it's not like it's a really long walk, it's just slower. Scratchdragon is going up ordeals, going to head to get that Baron key.
Yeah, and Scratch's team here, so strong, just absolutely running over this karate fight. But no Quake on Palom. You got Nuke and Holy on Fu, but also no Quake. Just wondering, what is the optimal way to clean up this zombie dance party?
Let Kane swing.
Well, that's going to be part of it.
Of course, Kane is in the back row now because Scratch didn't change that, but maybe some spells coming out. That might be it.
For what it's worth, I think this Kane is so loaded that he can one-shot any enemy here. But in the meantime, we got an Alt Gauntlet on one side and Twin Heart music on the other. Enjoy the show, folks. We'll be back after this Magnus fight.
And that was Asura.
Eizan showcasing probably one of the strongest weapons of the tournament. That Mage Masher Mute Knife doing the quad damage to mage types has come in clutch for so many racers this tournament. Pay attention to those racial weaknesses and get the Magma Key for your trouble. Nice little pickup.
Yeah. Likely going to be heading underground, maybe look for a weapon for Kane. Is having to go and walk out of Cave Magnus here, but for Magma Key, you'd do that.
Yeah, Magna Key, I think, makes this pretty worthwhile. I will note that Scratchdragon's Fu did learn Exit from that, so even if he didn't have a Rosa through Zot, he has that capability as well. But I wonder about, so we talked about the routing here, and I will note that Eizan has already landed at Troya. This was the third time. There was a starting time for Edward, there was looting the treasury, and there was this time to go to Magnus. I think Eizan might just go ahead and do the tower, just because flying here 4 times before you beat a seed feels a little rough in the routing department, you know?
Yeah, and there'll be another time if the pass comes into play as well. But yeah, going into Zot, we've got a very strong Palom here. Not really going to be afraid of anything that is up there. So yeah, off he goes to the Tower Zot. Be interesting to see if he makes a stop off at the trap chest, but the way he's walking now tells me that he's not going to be.
Yeah, if you're taking this path, basically you're either checking every chest for Flame Dog, you're checking the first 2 chests for Flame Dog, or you're checking no chests for Flame Dog. So if you're not checking the first 2, we know that he's just rolling on through here. But the Quake on Palom gonna be clutch. The additional bosses he fought means I'm pretty sure his Fu is gonna come out of the box with Nuke for that Baron Guards fight. So it's interesting here. We get to see the difference in the route. Scratch having a much faster ordeals. Eizan's gonna probably have a faster Zot, but not having that Avenger is going to be costly in the long run.
And Scratch is doing a play that you personally enjoy, heading over to Evelyn, opening up a few trap chests, looking for an Adamant armor.
I really like doing this once you have a team that can sweep through here and not be afraid. Like, I hate doing reset, but if I have Fu like this, oh, you're not scared at all. You know that you can just wreck every trap chest here very quickly.
Yeah, that Avenger's going to be a little bit annoying, especially against Lamia that charms Rosa, but Pelham's getting the Quake ready.
Yeah, kind of fortunate that the Kane didn't take a swing at one of the Black Cats. If they survive the hit, they'll counter with Bluster, which can either do paralysis or insta-death. But Kane actually kind of hitting the good target for the team there.
Outlass isn't a bad find.
Oh no, it's fantastic. Certain boss fights and most trap chests in the game are now trivial if you're willing to burn that on one of them. And we have a Darkness Crystal. You know, an even better place to find Adamant armor? The moon.
And you especially wanted if you see one of those hard-hitting but free bosses on the moon, such as the Dark Imps. So, yeah, seeing those in Hourglass makes that fight trivial.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Double Quake, we got Nuke on Fu, we have Avenger Kane. Scratch's team looking very powerful, very nice. Let's see if he spikes anything good from this Stillman Skull Chest. You know, yeah, go ahead.
I honestly actually missed it. I was going to ask you what that was.
Oh, yeah, it's a Dragoon Lance. That's great, because although... Ooh, and a Curse Ring? Free Curse Ring up here? The Dragoon Lance is probably my favorite Kane weapon. The numbers don't put it quite as strong as the Defense Sword or the White Lance, but just having the quadruple damage versus Dragon-type enemies, and more importantly for these racers, having something to put on him other than being an auto Zerk Avenger status is super nice. Very excellent pull for Scratch there.
Yeah, Scratch looks like he's just... I was just about to say, looks like he's just content with that and going, but nope. One more trap chest to go. It's not being left unattended.
Well, I mean, with how fast he's clearing them, hard to blame him. Eizan here going to be rotating his team as well. Imagine it's going to be another straightforward Edward for Fu kind of swap.
Absolutely right, and he's going to be picking up that Darkness Crystal, and we'll see where he goes with that particular knowledge.
Mad Ogre fight going a bit slower than the others for Scratch. Of course, the Mad Ogres have really high magic defense, so hard to do damage to them, short of like Bahamut and Nuke. But this Kane's going to get the job done eventually.
It doesn't really help that Kane is hitting the ones in the back row first, not back row glitched himself, so doing less damage. But fight's done. White shirt.
Very nice. And chat asking, does weapon effectiveness stick around when you swap to Avenger mid-fight? Typically, yes. Most of the time, if you swap a weapon for the Avenger and that glitch takes effect, you will have the properties of the prior weapon with the Zerk status of the Avenger. So if Scratch had been fighting a dragon there, you would have seen Zerk damage with the quadruple damage bonus versus dragons.
Including the additional strength and other stats that the Avenger gives, because it does update those on the weapon change, if I remember correctly.
I'll take your word for it. I've not done the math on that. I'm sure we have plenty of detail-oriented members of the community who have, but it's still ridiculously strong either way. Eizan gets his Darkness Crystal. Scratch is chasing this Baron Key, fading that Twin Harp, even with a source of exit. And also, no one's peeked the Moon character yet, but for what it's worth, we don't really have a proper Holy Sword for Cecil yet. Gotta be able to do the Forge first to do that.
Well, technically Eizan does, because Eizan does have underground access and both pieces of the Forge, so that at scale is on the table.
That's true, and still not going for it. I mean, I get it. If you're going to the Moon, you really like to do just one big sweep through it. And I guess you already have a Fu, so you know your overworld here is completely accounted for. But I get nervous with hanging characters on this group's flag set.
Yeah, and one of the big things is we've seen, as you brought up earlier, we've seen all the key item checks of the overworld in the overworld. That might be playing on our runners' minds, saying, well, we still got the package to find, we still got the Luca key. One of those two might be on those checks. Might as well just go do them.
Yeah. Finding Oko at this Sparkle at Baigan, another fight that you are very pleased to knock out in the overworld. A nuke from Fu cleans that up, not having to worry about a single counterattack.
There's Berserk as well on that Fu, so more sources of giving Kane additional damage if you don't want to use the Avenger.
At this point, so there's one fight difference here in the castle. Scratch has done all the looting of Eblin. Eizan has actually done, of course, Cave Magnus.
Quite even. If they did the other thing between them, I think Scratch would be a little bit in front because of the exit advantage that he would have with Cave Magnus. But it is still very close.
Oh, yeah. And you cannot understate how important loot and equipment is on this flag set. With how strong the T Wildish gear is, you can just get so strong so quickly and shave off a few levels that you would otherwise need to really go through your moon fights, go through those giant fights. Although this seed, we're probably going to be at like level 57 for Zeromus minimum with all those darkness gated objectives. So may not matter as much in the long run, I suppose.
Yeah, one of the things I feel is a really big point that a lot of our runners don't really agree on, but runners as in the tournament in general, is actually when to stop looting, because yes, Pearl Overwhelming is a strategy, but do you need it?
We do get the pan out of the Baron trash can. Another great find here in the overworld. Both runners going to be very happy to have that before they pursued that magma key. Only going to have to go through Sylph Cave once instead of sometimes seeds, put a vanilla pan in there and you have to double dip, but not this time. Another great pickup.
It does also tell Scratchdragon where the underground access is, because the only thing he hasn't done now is that Twin Harp.
Yeah. Although this Odin spot is available, it cannot logically be getting underground access.
I don't think he's going to let Mylon and friends go without finishing this fight, though. This is a fairly simple fight for this area. Yes, there's a high magic stat, but Lit 1, I don't think you're worried about a high magic stat and a level 1 spell.
Yeah, the only thing that this Mylon can do to kill a member of Scratch's team is he can punch pretty hard once all the gas are dead, but even that can only kill one character at a time. This fight is relatively free for an Odin spot. It's good news for Scratch.
Eizan raising that big well. Two schools of thought here. Go up to the moon, clear that first, or go to the giant. We've got a Fu, possibly got weak, could do a quick grind and just clear that out before just clearing the rest.
Yeah. I have a feeling this is just going to be a character and a shop check. Eizan's sitting at 8 key items, has underground access, has a pan, so we know free checks right now. You have the Feymarch freebie chests, and then you have 2 Sheila checks and self. So 4 checks. It's going to be real hard not to hit 10 key items very soon.
Yeah, and there is the fact that his cane doesn't have the weapons that Scratchdragon's does. No Dragoon Lance, no Avenger. So, yeah, that could be a very big detriment to going up to the Giant of Babel at the moment.
Scratch, meanwhile, nukes Mylon to finish off this fight. Nice 18,000 XP for the team. Cure 3 on Rosa without even having done Cave Magnus yet.
Another white shirt.
I mean, we found 1 Sorcerer Robe, and that's 2 white shirts. We got 3 mages on the team. I think that math works out.
And Eizan has found exits. They're on the moon.
Probably a little painful to see after that walk out of Magnus. But notably also does find sirens and tents here. It's also hard to understate how important camping supplies are with how often the moon is required on this flag set.
You do start out off with 4 or 5 in the starter kit, but yes, you want more.
Scratch here, gonna follow, also launched that whale. Eizan's gonna be the first one to tell us who this character on the Lunar Dais is.
And it's the other white mage.
The moon had all of the sources of exit, it seems.
Forum has enjoyed quite a bit of stardom in this particular flag set. You really want a white mage, so either her or Rosa will do just fine. But when you've got Rosa already, especially with a number of levels on her, Purim isn't really going to come along today.
Yeah, and also having already cleared Zot, so you have that source of exit. Even if you didn't have the Fu knowing it, this Rosa is very much locked in.
Underground definitely seems like the way Eizan is going next, though. Or somewhere else?
Huh.
Good. I wonder if this is a check of the sand bed, just to see who is there.
Yeah, it could just be getting the knowledge. It could still be checking the overworld item shops can still have a few things that you might be interested in. That is just a Sid. Good anchor, lots of HP, a decent chemist, but not anyone who can swing an Excal.
Yeah, that does leave very few places for a Cecil or an Edge to be. A Dwarf Castle, that package which is required today, or the Giant.
Yeah, you really... I think our runners are probably hoping, at worst, it's Dwarf Castle. Getting the Cecil after you've done the Giant means it's a little tricky to get the levels up to snuff on him. The package, you just have to burn the village with the package. You don't have to go all the way through to Kaipo and get the character. That, of course, has an extra cutscene, an extra fight. So if you can avoid that, much preferred. And, of course, hook route, moving the hovercraft down there and walking through all that cave just for a character check. Also pretty rough. We might be getting a Cecil-less seed here. And I know that our restreamer Allie will be very disappointed in her seed rolling if that's the case.
Could be Cecil and edgeless. Let's face it. We still got that teller out there who could make an appearance in this in this Dwarf Castle check.
Now we see Eizan heading straight to Kakol's Forge, even though Eizan has no Cecil. I like this. It is not uncommon for the store here to sell white lances or defense swords. And that would definitely be the upgrade this cane needs very quickly.
Yeah, could also be selling a few crystal rings. Are a nice find in here. Zeus gauntlets are usually good, but weapon-wise, Kane is...
He's still hurt.
Kane's hidden all his weapons, and Eizan just can't find them.
And Scratch is making the moon play here. Knows that there's a way underground at Cave Magnus. Does not care. Now, the awkward thing for Scratch, of course, will be if Scratch finds the hook up here, he'll know where the magma key is. But this is a very gutsy play. But, you know, you're at 0-2 in your group standings. You know you need to get some wins to have a chance of advancing to brackets. So
he also has a hourglass, and those sirens were up on the moon. There's going to be likely a gold dragon, quick gold dragon fight here. Get the levels up on Kane, Palom, and that should be everything he needs to just blitz through this moon.
I actually bought 20 sirens. You know, I said we might end up with a level like 57 Zeromus fight. We might end up with like a level 68 Zeromus fight at this rate.
One thing they haven't been lacking in this seed is money. There's been a lot of good items to sell. So Scratchdragon may have just went, I don't mind, I'll just buy everything.
Eizan checking the weapon shop in Dwarf Castle, hoping to find a Gungnir spear. Not even that. This Kane is still so poorly equipped. If Cecil or Edge is here, we may just see the swap of Kane outright. We might not even see like one of the mages getting changed here.
Double life glitch on Scratchdragon's side for that King Ryu grind. I'm going to come out of this with 150,000.
I think it's 120 because we don't have
100
yet. So.
Yeah.
Nothing to scoff at by any means, and plenty of cash too. If he decides to go do more shopping later, 92,000 gold. That buys a lot of good things.
Makes up for the lack of the 10 key items, but 120,000 still plenty of experience, especially with what else you're going to get up on the moon here. I don't see him leaving this behind. I think he's just going to clear everything, get all the objectives done that he can, get all the key items he can, and then just run down and finish everything else. Will make the Giant of Babel quite a bit easier.
And here we go, our first peek at a Lunar Altar. This is the... Ella, what are you doing here? You're not an Edge, you're not a Cecil. Get out of here.
Well, maybe Tella heard me.
We do have Kenatsu at this White Spear altar. Not the highest HP spot on here, but still punchy, and the wave can still do a lot of damage. Scratch does get the Thor Rage off to spell the Water Wave. Nuke is coming out from Fu to start draining those HP. Looks like he'll probably be in good shape for this one. Although Al, the punchy part, Al.
Yeah, that's... Hey, Kenyatta doesn't like you dispersing his wave, so he tends to punch you once before trying again.
Eizan tears through this dwarf castle, and we're going to see what that key item is. Ooh, that wave did more damage than I expected. Scratch is looking in a bit of a pickle here.
More Hanzo still. Where is Edge?
The scene's got jokes.
Eizan is just saying, yes, Edge weaponry is fine if I had one. Where's my cane stuff?
Yep. And this turtle being kind of rude here. Been through 4 nukes, still not returned to his shell. Scratch did buy those ethers very early in the seed back in Troya. So very thankful to have those right now. These waves have reached a manageable point, though. We know how low Kanatsu's HP has gotten. I think a Lightning 3 here actually just finishes the fight completely if Scratch wants to use that instead of Nuke.
Yeah, 600 on those waves. Problem is those fasts have been stacking up, and Kanyotsu is getting quite speedy right at this moment.
And chat, help me out here. Eizan opened that rat tail chest. I didn't see what was in it. Did you see, Poitrak?
Ikea, our tracker is saying the spoon.
Oh, spoon. Excellent.
So another Edward weapon.
Yeah. That's 9 key items. That is a nasty set of Feymarch fights. Odin at Leviathan and Mom Bomb at Asura. Even with this foo, I don't think you really want to do either of those right now.
No, not in the way that Eizan is currently set up, unfortunately. Could possibly get through it, but it would take a lot of effort. And a lot of effort is what you don't want to do on this particular flag set.
The turtle does get a remedy off for 2,800 health restoration. Popping back out of the shell, Nuke coming out again. I think you may have to go for the elemental weakness here instead of just relying on old Nuke.
Yeah, it's definitely in a sort of loop that is not preferable to Scratchdragon's cause.
Yeah.
Well, Kane has now been raised, hopefully to bring in a little bit of extra damage here.
Yeah. And this Nuke will take care of it. That wave did 4 damage. That means that Kanatsu was down to roughly 100 HP. Only a glass mask for all that effort. I think I reset out of that just to get my ethers back. Scratch burned so much MP restoration there.
Deciding to go back, use that tent. It's not the highest experience spot, but he might just be thinking, I need all the experience I can get.
31,000. Miss me with that. Go fight some Warlocks or something. Get your XP there.
But you sort of have to remember that he is going to be clearing the moon without the 10 key items at this point. And some of the higher spots won't be given the potential. And especially if you get some split bosses like Golbez here, you don't get as much as you want.
Yeah, but chat pointing out, Scratch did buy 20 sirens. Scratch has used 1 of his 20 sirens. This Golbaz fight, though, is kind of cute, though, because, remind me, how many ribbons did we get out of the treasury again?
3, but I'm more. I'm wondering what Eizan is doing right now, because here comes Edward. Eizan is saying, "Okay, I don't have one Edward. I'm going to have the other with the spoon."
I mean, it won't take. You see, I like the Edward far more in the first half of the seed than in the back half of the seed, but, you know, any port in a storm, and Eizan probably hits 10 key items after the Sheila visit, and a few of those sirens, and Eddie's going to be dishing out the damage.
And he is still lacking that physical element. His plane doesn't have that weaponry. The best weapon he's got is that spoon.
And those ribbons coming in pretty handy, of course, making you immune to the insta-death attack of the Shadow Dragon. Scratch has the 3 characters standing he wants standing, but I don't think we ever saw Star Veils for sale. So you do have to be a little frugal in your use of those, because you fight the Golbez now, you may end up fighting Wyvern right around the corner.
Yeah, that's one thing we did notice earlier on. They weren't doing that much in the way of shop checking. So those item shops that may have held those Star Arvels have been passed by.
And Eizan does get key item number 10 from Sheila 1. That's a Sand Ruby. I doubt we're going to go back for that Sid, of course, but more relevantly, double XP. Time to play a little bit of catch-up, perhaps.
Yeah. Question is he going to go to the moon to do that? Or is he going to go underground to use those sirens? Looks like it's going to be the moon.
Yeah, well, without hourglasses, doing gold dragons can be a little tricky. Doing trap chests can be very tricky. I wonder where Eizan intends to get his levels here. Ooh, and Scratch getting another Avenger. And the pink tail, but we have no hook, so that's not an adamant armor just yet.
One thing we might have missed, though, is did Eizan find hourglasses in one of the shops underground?
That's true. Eizan did check the Famart shop, and maybe even gone by Tomra while we were focused on these moon fights.
Scratch, though, heading down to the Mazamoon altar. I like to say it, when in doubt, I go for Pogo Spot.
Yeah, this is the first one of the altar Scratch has done that is absolutely required by the objective system. Eizan equalizes on the cursed ring front. That'll be handy. Nice little pickup from Cave Bahamut.
Leviathan here can be a little bit rude.
Yeah, this altar has some of the highest combined physical and magical attack in the game, and although the physical doesn't come into play with Leviathan, these Ice 2s will probably hit for well over 1,000 damage.
Well, Mega Sisters have their reflected level 2 spells at around 2,000, so these Ice 2s are going to be a similar amount.
Yeah, right there with them. Ooh! Yeah. Kane narrowly surviving that.
And I'm not sure if that Kane has got the Dragoon armor on.
I think he's changed over to a power shirt for the sake of physical DPS, if I had to guess.
Kane, though, is very, very fast. He's going to hopefully cut through that Leviathan fairly easy. Eizan, though, fighting up against Dark Elf in the Bahamut location. This isn't actually too bad.
No, the spell power at this spot, pretty low, especially when Dark Elf's just using those tier 2 spells. And pretty nicely, once it transforms into the dragon form, you can actually hit it with stop or weak.
Just having a quick look at his inventory there. I didn't see an hourglass in there, so might be relying on a week from Fu here.
Scratch, meanwhile, does get this Snecko down via a combination of Nuke and Zerk. And at least you're not having to walk down here a second time. That's the pass. Very nice pickup. Of course, both our runners will be getting that, since this Masa altar is required.
The experience, though, is definitely Scratch is definitely going to like. Still not got that 10 key items, so still a little bit behind on the experience front, and to what Eizan will be at the same point.
Yeah,
but going through this pretty confident.
Scratch very much with the equipment advantage still. That Kane is doing so much work. Eizan really needs to hopefully get these levels rolling in a hurry. Eddie's already doing 2,000 damage with the spoon, but he needs to be able to tank a hit as well.
Spoon Power Shirt is a pretty potent combo.
Scratch, meanwhile, headed up to the Vanilla Crystal Sword Altar. That will be objective number 3 if he can get through this fight. Team's looking pretty good.
I'm surprised Eizan isn't actually using focusing on that nuke for this particular form.
Yeah, did cast Stop manually as well. May just have forgotten about that one weakness of the Dark Elf. But we'll still get through this fight pretty quickly anyway.
Kane's gonna have fun.
That is kind of a cruel fight to see on the moon. Eizan will probably lose some time to this one. Dragonlance versus Dragons. It does what you think it might. It does what it says on the package. Oh, well, I say that, but...
Eizan has a weapon for Kane! It's an hour in!
We finally get to upgrade the Mage Masher for the Dragoon Lance. Aw, yeah. And again, that... Just like I was saying, that Pale Dim fight was going to be so slow for Eizan. That is going to make a huge difference once he gets down here to the Lunar Subterrane.
That spot is quite punchy, and yeah, it's not got a whole lot of HP, but it can be dangerous because of those punches, especially with Pale Dim, who punches a lot and slows you down. But with Dragoon Lance, easy pickings. Only for an Excalibur though, so not really that much found on the moon.
No, I mean, the pass is nice, of course. We have half of an Adamant armor, but nothing that actually gates any more progressive checks, you know? We've not seen the Tower Key, we've not seen the Luca Key, not seen a Rat Tail. It's looking so far, I mean, we have one check to go. Scratch is about to show us what's going on at the Murasame altar, but this is starting to look like a very Moon's Haunted kind of seed in spite of all the objectives.
Yeah. Most important thing has been the pass up here. Yeah, Pinktail was nice, but you can't hand that in right now. And Scratchdragon technically can't get underground yet because hasn't been to Cave Magnus.
Yeah, and even if this is a hook, do you take that route, or when you know that the Magma Key has to be behind there? I don't know.
Cave Magnus had to be quicker than taking the full hook route. Had to be.
Oh yeah, it has to be. But on the other hand, you know, Cecil could be there. You could have relatively quick and free fights. If you do get the hook, you will have an Adamant armor as well. I mean, this could just be the utmost dedication to hating on Cave Magnus.
Here's the question, though. Do you take Cecil at this particular point? You've got your moon levels. You're likely going to be going to the Giant of Babel after this. Do you take Cecil? I'm doubtful.
You got an Excal, you would have an Adamant armor? I would. He'll get the levels quickly enough, and you have a Cursed Ring, so Fu can be your anchor as well. You let Rosa, Cecil, Kane do all the heavy lifting. I think I still take a Cecil if he's there. But at the same time, I don't want to go on the hook route at all. And with that Tower Key being what we find, Scratch is going to have to go to Magnus. The seed says no.
Yeah. At least it's another key item that could lead to something like the Luca Key or that package, both of which still haven't been seen.
And Eizan here going to the Crystal Sword Altar first, which is actually pretty good for him. Well, the battle speed here is not doing him any favors, but does have a quadruple damage Dragoon Lance here. And the XP will be real good, provided he can get out of the fight with everyone still standing.
One other major difference between Scratchdragon and Eizan is because Scratchdragon went to that Castle Webland, he has that Curse Ring. Eizan hasn't got one.
No, he found one in Cave Bahamut just a moment ago, so he has equalized on that front.
Oh, right. Then I will just ignore everything I just said.
No. Talk about it. Because Cursed Ring, immensely powerful in Free Enterprise, and I think while we're seeing these remix boss fights, I think explaining what a difference that makes is a good thing. I'd go for it.
Oh yeah, minus 15 on every stat. It doesn't sound like a good thing, but the effect, because of the way agility is calculated in this, the effect that it puts on that is absolutely amazing. And because agility is governed by the character in the center slot on this particular settings, and slowing that particular character down speeds everyone else around you up. So it's your main, the main hitters such as Kane with a Dragoon Lance is going to hit probably 2 times to the center slots moving once. Can really speed up a fight quite heavily.
Absolutely. And with that fight, Scratch did remember the fact that you can weak the Dark Dragon form, lights up number 1. That is all those moon objectives complete. Every altar cleared by 108. Still no way underground for Scratch, so are we going to see a trip to the Giant first, get even more levels? Or are we finally going to Magnus? We'll see very soon here.
I would be very surprised if he doesn't go to the Giant first. He's cleared the moon, do the Giant on the way down, so you don't have to activate the coming into the Lunar Well again. Yeah, just do this on the way down. You've got the levels, you should be able to get through this fight easily, and then then go to Cave Magnus, pick up the Magma Key.
And meanwhile, on Eizan's side, we see the value of those 10 key items, gaining 6 to 8 levels a character from this fight. That's going to help a lot. That went a little rough for Eizan, and with all these altars down below, those levels are very, very relevant to his interests.
Yeah. And none of them are particularly quick down here, so Scratch having got through them, and Eizan having done a little bit of the underworld as well, not too much, just the dwarf castle check really, and the pan check. My Scratchdragon might have just peeked into the lead a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think that gear has come in so clutch, and the levels here have started to steamroll a bit. I mean, I don't think we should undersell how slow the Magnus trip and cutscene are. But yeah, if Scratch ignores Dwarf Castle, I think Scratch has a pretty good advantage at this point. You're absolutely right.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of the first places he goes on the underground is to do the tower, the full tower, because that tower key was up on the moon. He might see that as a starting point to just go, I got this, I might be a little bit behind because the Magma Key was in plain view. Let's go and do this one item I found on the moon first.
Ooh, and speaking of fights that aren't necessarily quick, this location just generally with its 65,000 HP is slow, but Val here, a little annoying. We do have 2 sources of blink on the team between Fu and Rosa, so ultimately not going to be that threatening. All the ribbons will help with her gradual petrification. I guess it's fine that Val is here.
Yeah. Not really a whole lot of offensive options though, because if you're wanting to cast the spells, Fu is really the only option because he's the only one who's got nuke, and Val needs to be out of tornado form, which means Kane needs to be jumping. And if you're going to go the physical route, Kane's going to be tied up with that, so you're going to have a slower fight that way, because the tornado form also gives a whole lot of defense. So it's a sort of catch-22 in this particular spot.
Absolutely. Now, I will note that this is a very weird out-of-place spot. Like, nearly every spot has either no magic defense whatsoever in tornado form, or nearly all the magic defense. This is one that's actually kind of middling, so you could probably do a little bit of damage through it, but at the same time, Fu gets what? He can cast Nuke 4 times. There's 65,000 HP to chew through here. You probably do want her out of the spin to get every last ounce of damage from his limited MP pool.
Yeah, and Val just saying, that's enough out of you, Fu. I'm going to hit you before Rosa can use Blink on you. Because that is one of the dilemmas with doing the stopping her spin route, is that when you break the spin, she gets an immediate physical attack in addition to a normal physical attack. When she's in tornado form, she only does one attack like every 4 turns. It's like empty turn, weak plus ray, empty turn, punch. So here we are having to deal with a lot more punches than you'd normally see. I'd say that's doing around about 60 to 70% of the full damage that the Nuke and Ice 2 could do there, so it's not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah, we did see it drop from what, like 7,800 down to about 5,000-ish, so. But I do think these extra punches are causing Scratch some grief, having to keep picking up the team here.
Yeah, the extra punches just make them blinks that you put up not quite as the absolute defense that they could be if Val was just staying in tornado form and doing a punch every second turn.
And Eizan now also has an Avenger, so we have finally equalized both on the Dragoon Sphere and the Avenger. About 1 hour later. Just so, it's funny because on T Wildish, you really anticipate you're going to find a really great weapon for Kain very soon somewhere. Like, the seeds are just lousy with them. And this one here just kind of kept it hidden from Eizan the entire way, and Scratch gambling on that Flame Dog chest being such a huge payoff for the first hour of this seed, really.
Yeah, I really think that Kain suffers in this. The weapons are there. It's just because of their rarity. I feel that they're just a little bit too out of place. They're going to be in places that you don't really want to go to, and if they're in trap chests, you're likely going to get something for someone else, like a crystal sword, an Excel, an adamant armor. I just feel his weapons are a little bit out of place in a lot of the checks.
Woo! That Ice 2 hitting Edward for 2,600 damage. Eizan very quickly trying to get some walls set up here to help mitigate the worst of that.
Yeah, Fu didn't last much longer than Edward. Kain and Rosa's hit point totals, they're not really in a good place to be defended against those Ice 2s. The walls will help, but it's... if Leviathan takes his shots correctly, there's not really going to be too much to stop him.
Yeah, and Scratch does get through that Val fight. Gonna heal up before tackling the CPU spot. Still only at 9 key items, not getting double XP from these fights. I mean, the levels are good, but at the same time, once Eizan does get to this point, the level difference is going to be massive.
Yeah, and Kain is definitely going to start ramping up a little bit quicker than Scratch's has. CPU spot though, what do we have here? This one of the most dangerous spots in the game. And hello.
Hi. Blar. At least the seed has been kind enough to give everyone Dragoon Spears.
Yeah. So this fight isn't really as dangerous as it looks, but Kane is going to be ripping through this, but it's one of those surprise fights that you don't like.
Yeah. Well, and the other awkward thing too is Scratch is only down to 1 Star Veil. Does have Wall on both Fu and Rosa, and Wall is a very fast casting spell. But yeah, this might want that battle speed down a little further. Might want to cast a few more walls here. Might want to rearrange the team a little bit. This is going to be a little trickier than you might think. Let's see if attrition can get the job done.
One other thing, Scratchdragon's down to 2 life potions.
Oh, well, that'll make attrition a little trickier.
The nukes hitting this spot don't really hit too hard after the initial mega nuke, but it's still... they're still going to eat through your hit points eventually.
Yeah. I believe that I've not looked it up in a while, but I think the nukes that Wyvern send out are alternate between like 2 rolls and 3 rolls, so I think they have a max damage-ish of roughly 800 on some and then roughly 1200 on others. But yeah, Scratch is going to have to change things up a little bit. The current setup, just not quite enough to get through the fight.
I definitely think the way to get through this particular fight is put Kane up in the top slot, use the Star Veil on him, and then just let him rip things apart with that Dragon Spear Avenger. But I'm not the one running this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Because Kane with the Zerking can probably actually solo this fight. This is good news for Eizan, though. Each win by Wyvern in this particular combat gives Eizan much-needed time to catch up. It's hard to tell exactly the difference, because, again, Scratch still has to go through Cave Magnus to get underground access. It's a slow check. But I feel that the gear, like we said earlier, has given Scratch a pretty big advantage here. And Eizan, I think, needs this little bit of help to get caught up.
Eizan is bringing it back, though. He is getting through these fights down in the Lunar Subterranean a little bit quicker, especially this Kanyatso fight, which took Scratch quite a bit of time to get through. But yes, Scratch definitely seems to have the advantage. We'll see how it plays out once Eizan gets through the giant as well.
Yep. So Scratch here will be lighting up number 5 soon, and Cecil was behind the giant. Scratch still not at 10 key items. Are we going to see the Cecil take at this point? You have no adamant armor, you only have an X-Cal, you're done with all the high XP fights, but you do have 19 Sirens.
Yeah, but we've only got 2 key items required. I personally wouldn't take Cecil here. But of course, I'm not Scratchdragon.
I think I would take the Cecil there myself. I think that since that Palom still wasn't anywhere near nuke, right? So that Palom's not really doing anything at your Z fight, except maybe anchoring, and you might as well just do that to Fu instead. So I like the swapping Palom for Cecil here. I'm with Scratch on this one.
Yeah, Palom here does. Palom is one of the in this particular flag set seems to hold that niche of being that early game sweeper. Get you through the overworld pretty quickly, but not as someone that you will likely take along for the long haul. Well, he's definitely got his uses, but if he's not going to get to that nuke in the long run, yeah, Cecil likely is going to be the better choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard for the kid to do that much in this Romus fight if he's not casting that ultimate single target spell. So,
Especially with a spare Avenger going as well.
Yeah. The funny thing, though, is that in Eizan's case, I think that Palom would have made it there pretty handily, actually. But, of course, this Edward will also probably be pushing 1,500 HP by the time Eizan's done with the Giant. So, all the low HP characters coming out to play when the gear is this good, I suppose.
Scratch finally going to get that music, finally going to get that magma key. I don't think he's going to be put out that it's being picked up now. He's cleared the moon, he's cleared the Giant. It's now 22 in. I think he'll be happy with his race so far.
Oh yeah, like everything Scratch has done, he did with very clear intentionality. Like, he knew where the way underground was. He knew he wanted to go moon instead.
It's not like he knew exactly what type of underground access he had, but he knew having gone through the moon. It didn't matter which one, because if it's a magma key, it's just quicker. If it's the hook, no problems, because it's got all these levels already.
Exactly. Well, hey, we're going to get a little bit of a Twin Harp reprise chat. Enjoy the tunes, and we'll see where Scratch heads next. And there we go. Scratch pretty clearly in the lead at this point, I'd say. If he fades Dwarf Castle, it's absolutely advantage Scratch here. Having gotten the underground access at the same time, Eizan is entering the Giant.
Okay, here's a question for you. Considering what levels all Scratchdragon's Cecil is likely going to be at when it gets to Zerobus, minus the possible of a Siren and grind, Spoon Edward with levels, or at scale Cecil with what he's likely going to be at?
Honestly, the Excal Cecil probably still ends up with more HP at like level 30 than the Edward does at level 60. I'd have to pull up the numbers on that. If we get the hook for an Adamant armor, I can be a little more willing to lean towards Edward there, but yeah, it's a tricky call to make, because one bad, even like a nerfed Big Bang into rocks immediately can cause your Edward to die, and then what's his DPS? 0. So having just a few more 100 HP can really make a big difference.
Yeah. Because that's the question that Eizan is just about to have to weigh up very soon. I don't see Fu being tossed out. I don't see Rosa or Kane being tossed out. Edward is the only possibility for a swap for Cecil here, and that's the same sort of scenario that I just brought up. it's going to be X-Scale Cecil with a few levels, or Edward with a lot of levels with a spoon. Scratch, though, is going to go and check that pan first. The freebie checks. Don't blame him for this.
Oh yeah, like you could just have, you know, Luca Key and Package both sitting in these three options right here. I do think, given the fact that at this point your opponent's not finished, maybe you're a little more inclined to do that Tower Key. Of course, we still have both Feymarch fights sitting there, and they were not too pleasant to look at. There's an Odin and a Mom Bomb down there, but the teams definitely have the levels to do it at this point.
Yeah, they're not too pleasant to look at if you went down there earlier, like Eizan did, but right now, with what we got, yeah, they don't really... They're not really too much of a barrier at this point. And this was a Sand Ruby and a Power Shirt, if I remember correctly. So Scratch will have his tanky items.
I mean, well, you have a Dragoon Lance, you have those Sirens, 68,000 apiece off Yellow Dragon Eggs. If Scratch does want a few more levels on the Cecil, it will not take him long to get them at all. I do like the trolliness of the seed, though. Seeing, you know, Muramasa Full Moon in that Troya Treasury super early, and the edge in the seed is either behind the package or down the hook route. So all that glorious Hanzo steel and no ninja to wield it.
Scratch, so ignoring that at Sand Ruby, the Magma Key was the 10th key item anyway, so doesn't need it in the slightest. I think he's happy with what his team is now. And yeah, going to go and check that Tower Key, that one Moon item that was received.
Eizan, meanwhile, still working on this Val check. Well, check being the wrong word, pardon me. Just a Val gate, not actually an item past it.
Going the complete Berserk route, which is going to work. It's, as always, going to be fairly slow because Val in this spot usually is, but is through it and going to be moving on.
Yeah, I think he stopped jumping once Fu ran out of MP for Nuke and decided, okay, we'll just go Zerker the rest of the way. Meanwhile, we do have a bug report to file at the top of Lower Babel. That's an Antlion. You know, Antlion, an annoying boss to fight, but not when you got levels like these. Scratch will be fine here.
And not usually in this particular spot. Yeah, it can hit moderately hard, but it's not really that bad here. It's a boss that is here.
Eizan, meanwhile, about to face that same Wyvern that gave Scratchdragon a little bit of pause. I'm excited to see how Eizan approaches this fight. This is going to definitely provides the opportunity to shave off some time versus an unprepared opponent.
I'm wondering what his food has. I think his food still has that curse ring, so this might be a very quick Star Veil up.
Yeah, but Eizan also only has the one Star Veil.
And 6 life potions. So, yeah, both of our runners have really got nothing in the way of items that they picked up along the way in the shops, because no life potions, no star veils. They basically said, I'll use what I find, and that's it.
Yeah. And Eizan here also trying to do attrition here to get going against this Wyvern. And Wyvern just going so fast here at this spot. I mean, our runners were properly anchored for this, but it's still if you're not clogging your own queue, the Wyvern is going super fast, getting these attacks off. We do get a quad 9 out of that cane, which is a good sign, but we're not done yet.
And one of the worst bosses to fight in the tower room, the blue robe of Water Hag. Because you still have to hit it 3 times.
It is kind of funny. This is the rare spot where if you are playing with the no free bosses flag, where the Water Hag script doesn't matter, you just have to actually deplete its HP. This is one of the few fights that's faster on no free bosses than it is on free bosses, because you usually will just tear through all that 600 HP in one hit here.
Eizan threw that Wyvern and levels on Edward and Kane here, as well as Rosa. Fu didn't really need them anyway. And we're going to get the answer to the question. Cecil or not so Cecil?
In the Scratch, meanwhile, it may be impossible for this item to be a zonk at this point. There's this check and the 2 Feymarch checks. I think there's still like 1 zonk left in the pool. It'll be real sad if this is somehow not the package or the Luca key or the hook.
Yeah. Eizan has given his answer though. It is not so Cecil. Had a look at that Edward, saw Edward with 1400 HP. That seems to be enough for Eizan to say, no, not today, Cecil. I'm going with the superior bard.
And we do have a chain to chase. We have an objective to pursue. Tower key on the moon does gate objective number 4, complete the sealed cave. Scratch wasting no time heading there.
And Eizan is also heading in that direction and still wants nothing to do with those Feymarch bosses. Has done pretty much all the rest of the checks down here. So yeah, easy point of call to go to here.
Yeah, and as Chat pointing out, very close race, very neck and neck here. If Scratch doesn't find value here, if we learn that it is absolutely in the Feymarch, if he decides to go to Dwarf Castle, that'll let Eizan equalize a little bit more. That's one of the checks Eisen's done that Scratch has not. But if he just goes Feymarch after this, again, provided this is a whammy, looking in pretty good shape to take this one home.
And there's always the big chance that this is straight up the package, and that would put him definitely in the driver's seat.
Yeah. One thing I do really like here, if this is just exactly the package, is it means we will have had a seed again in the Adamant Cup with no Adamant armor. I think that'll make it to where both the races I've commentated have been cursed with no Adamant. Okay, good.
Sorry.
I was hoping to have gained a new power. Now, the funny thing is, you're walking this out, you're at least getting an Adamant armor, but it's possible that Rat Tail does not have to be the package. Package now can be either behind the Rat Tail or at one of the 2 Feymarch fights. So you may be walking this out just for some gear improvement. But, Eizan will be doing the same anyway. Yeah. Oh, this is a required objective. I'm a fool. Pardon me. Sealed Cave. It's number 4. Duh. You're walking it out.
Yeah. Even it's both objective and gear improvement. And you're going to go and check that Rat Tail likely before going to the Feymarch, and since you're there, you're likely going to pick up that Adamant armor anyway. So it's pretty much both. Trying to think up. Is there anything else that Scratch needs to do? I can't think of anything else that is out of the way apart from that Dwarf Castle. I think they pretty much covered every other location.
Yeah, and Scratch has done that Odin spot back in Baron that Eizan has not. So there's that little advantage as well, in case the Rat Tail comes up with nothing. Because Eizan could very well go there before heading back to those Feymarch fights. So here's the question. If you're in Scratchdragon's shoes, who are you putting the Adamant armor on? If you're not grinding the Cecil up, let me add that.
Yeah, no, I was already even that would be the caveat for there. I would actually say Rosa. Kane's going to have a whole lot of hit points already, a power shirt as well, so his strength's going to be fairly high. Having that Rosa with a little bit of extra survivability, just in case of a high rolling unexpected Big Bang, might be the difference.
But who are we kidding? It's going to be Cecil, right?
Quite possibly. Having it on Cecil could mean that he survives a Big Bang and where he was not expected to as well. Eizan, on the other hand, I fully believe it's going to be Edward.
Yeah, Eddie still, even at these levels, doesn't quite have the HP pool, so getting the added defense on him for the Z fight, that major magic defense that the Adamant armor offers is huge, let alone how much it's going to do for his attack multipliers. That's the thing about the X-Cal and the Crystal Sword with Cecil. They are not just big damage, they're also stat sticks. Spoon, flat damage, no stat bonuses.
Yeah, it's big damage, just no bonuses. And Rat Tail is that package. So the Moon did have access to both the other key item checks, because Tower Key was on the Moon, leading to the Luca Key, leading to the Hook, which gave you the package.
6 checks, 6 required objectives gated by the Darkness Crystal. Oh, there's an edge. Hey, we found one. I don't think we're adding him to the team here.
I don't think we're even going to Kaipo.
No.
So we are going to have a 5th character who doesn't exist on any screen in the game. That kind of takes away from the Max Party 4.
Now, help me figure it out. Who did we not see then? Who's the character? Yang. Yang is down the Hook route. There we go.
Yeah. Which is strangely appropriate for the Cat Claw group.
Oh no, Scratch, you've still got the Avenger equipped.
Okay, let's have a race. Who's going to win? In the ninja casting a summon, or the Dragoon just saying, I want to beat your face in?
You can actually win this fight if you can chew through all 65,000 HP before the Quake comes out. But the nice thing is that is your friendly reminder to take the Avenger off before you fight Zeromus.
Kane was just saying, where have you been all this seed?
And Eizan taking a quick reset at Plague, and apparently not liking his agility setup for this fight.
Which feels odd when he should have everything set up before.
Yeah, and had not saved at the midpoint on the way down here, having to re-walk Sealed Cave. That is going to be costly.
Wretch, though, is taking a stop off to do some grinding. So Eizan, it's not going to be a whole lot of time, I don't think, here, but this could bring Eizan back in a little bit.
And we did see Scratch put a power shirt on Cecil. Who's that admin on? Is it on Kane?
It's on Kane.
Oh.
Which feels odd when you're actually doing sirens to get Cecil some levels here. Unless it's just to make sure that Kane can one-shot the eggs with that Avenger.
Yeah, it was probably that, just wanting to make sure that you could go in here, let Kane do all the work. It also looks like Scratch didn't even really intend to get Cecil that high up. Like, looks like he called it around, what, 1900 HP there? Yeah, the tricky thing about swapping gear around characters at this point is just with how clogged the inventory is, so...
Scratchdragon is saying that is it, though. I have my crystal. I have a pass. To Troya he runs.
But a level 37 Cecil in the anchor slot? What does... Oh, does he have like a crystal ring on him or something that would put him at 28 agility?
I don't think so. But no, he does get at... That might be a threshold where he had 15 agility. And he wanted him to get off of that so he could have the cursed ring.
Are we going to get one more peek here? Okay, we are taking the Avenger off of Kane. Yeah, I have no idea what Cecil's agility is at here. If he was at 24 but has a crystal ring on, that'll put him at 29, and that'll be fine. That'll be fine. If you're not bottoming out your agility, you want to have it at certain breakpoints for this fight, and 28 for your anchor is just fine. It's a great breakpoint for the Z fight. Nothing wrong with that. So
I don't remember seeing a crystal ring anywhere in this, so I'm a little doubtful.
I got nothing. But we do have a very important question to ask as we see this randomizes aroma sprite. Quickly.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? We were so concerned with agility, we forgot to do the meme. Oh, how dare we?
Well, we have our priorities. We're both runners of this game, and suddenly I'm hungry.
That's truly a majestic Zaroma sprite.
It's amazing that this is actually based off of a real thing.
I think it is. I believe. I know that Squeenix and Cup Noodle had multiple crossover things, notably in Final Fantasy 15, of course. It would not surprise me if there was a Zaromus branded Cup Noodle that was released at some point. It is a real thing.
Yeah, Scarla has actually gone on and has said when it first appeared that it is a real thing. She based it off of a real thing.
Now, you mentioned those eggs that Scratchdragon popped, and that is giving Eizan time to equalize here. Eizan does not need to do any more grinding, of course. But Eizan does have to do that package cutscene. I think one wipe to Zaromus here makes things even Steven between our two runners.
Yeah, I'm a little doubtful on Scratchdragon's agility setup at the moment because it's not looking good.
I mean, does have a lot of HP, has a lot of really great gear, adamant armors and white shirts.
Yeah, but those big bangs are still coming out fairly quickly. And Kane falls as good as he is with an Avenger. Up in the Zaromus fight, it doesn't really do as much as you think.
Yeah, only doing 24. Are we sure the adamant armor is on Kane?
Yeah, it's definitely on Kane. I mean, it's just the agility setup everywhere else doesn't feel right. And if Cecil is the agility anchor at 24, Rosa's fairly slow. Oh, compared to that. Fu's definitely slower compared to that. And Kane isn't notably faster, even with that Adamant armor.
Yeah, and we do see a virus. We're still in phase 1. The black hole comes out. Avenger doesn't care. You'll do one weaker hit and then automatically re-Zerk. But there may be concerns here with MP on Fu. Rosa, I think, can still die to a full-powered Big Bang. The big nasty ones can do up to 2,700 damage.
Yeah, and Kane isn't getting more than two free swings in between each Big Bang at the moment.
I think Eizan is still in this. I was saying that, you know, we might have to see a Zeromus wipe for it to happen, but it might not even be that. This fight is going fairly awkwardly, it feels like.
Yeah, and this comes back to the shop checks earlier. Silk webs weren't found.
Yeah, and we do see a manual slow cast coming out accordingly. Scratch not liking how fast this Z is looking and is electing to try to change the ATB up into his favor.
Yeah. Is it phase 2 now? That was a single target nuke going onto Rosa, but very, very quickly afterwards came the Big Bang. And these are going to be the big ones. These are going to be the ones that hit for 2,700 at max if you miss all your dodge rolls.
Or if you fail to nerf, of course. You can always nerf a Big Bang with the right timing. Causes a counter nuke to come out, drops Zeromus' spell power, makes it where it can only do 1,200 damage max. And that Fu has only one Cure 4 left in the tank. That one just left him at 40 MP. Rosa, of course, still has a decent chunk of MP to go. We do see life on Cecil and Fu's final Cure 4 coming out to try to get some additional damage online, while Eizan is taking the portal to the Z fight. Scratchdragon likes to collect next, but I think he has to feel the breath breathing down on his right now.
Yeah, Eizan is set up in his Zeromus fight. Fu is the anchor here. With that cursed ring, and Edward and Kane have their weapons ready. They're just about to conveniently one's a spoon for this cup noodles and go to be bearing down on Scratch. Can Scratch finish this up before Eizan gets through this?
Poitrak, this is serious business. Don't make me laugh with the spoon and the noodles. But yeah, all that effort to get that Cecil back up and died immediately to the follow-up Big Bang. We are in phase 2. Zeromus is doing direct nukes, as we just saw. Scratch electing not to heal that Fu up. Fu's out of MP, doesn't have a whole lot to bring to the table right now anyway. And here comes the Cure 4, queued up from Rosa to try to get her and Kane back up.
And if you really want more seriousness, Kane has the fork as well with the lance.
And there we go. Eizan transforms his Zeromus. We are right here, just minutes apart in this fight. Eizan has that cursed Fu for the anchor. Does only have 1,500 HP on the Edward, though. But honestly, that Cecil's not been staying upright that much on Scratch's side either. The levels here may be the big determining factor.
Yeah, Eizan is coming in with a much higher level Kane here, a much higher level Rosa. Edward, if he's got that adamant armor, should survive this first nuke fairly well. Definitely will with it being nerfed. It's yeah, I can't really call this. Scratchdragon had quite the lead. He'd coming into this, but the fight's just dragged on, and Rosa doesn't have an infinite amount of MP.
Yeah, this is being very illustrative of just what an impact agility management has on this Zeromus fight. You see it in vanilla speed runs too. In no 64 runs, runners have to be so cautious to keep their Cecil from gaining certain levels, or you just break your run completely at the end game. And that knowledge clearly coming into play here. Rosa down to 85 MP, casting of Cure 4, only one more in the tank after this. Still resisting these big bangs admirably without nerfing, and that is rocks. Only a few hits to go.
And this Cure 4 may just shore up Scratchdragon. We're going to get what, 3 more hits out at max here.
Just enough MP, just enough gas in the tank to bring this home. This hit should do it.
There he goes.
Oh,
Scratchdragon has defeated Dinner.
Nailbiter at the end. If those big bangs rolled just a little higher, if even one of them had taken that Rosa down, would have completely changed this outcome. So close, so exciting. What a great finish. GG's for Scratch. We'll see if he is interested in an interview shortly. But meanwhile, Eizan right behind. Eddie on the ground, but this Kane and Rosa with so much HP. Looks like he'll be cleaning up soon as well. Meanwhile, we're joined by Scratchdragon. Scratchdragon, can I borrow a siren?
No, we out. You see, there was a problem with the shipping, and it's a logistical nightmare right now. You see, can't send it by the sky. The moon, the whale's down. My airships are broken. Joker got away.
Hey, GG's on taking the win. So you knew after you had completed your Earth checks that there was a way underground at Cave Magnus. No other options. But you still went with the moon play. Is that a strategy you normally like to do? Was it just something about this seed, this opponent? What made you say, we're going there, we're clearing that right now?
If you look at and at least in my mind, if you look at all the objectives we had to do, we were doing a lot of objectives on the moon, so it just made sense to actually try and finish up everything on the moon and then come down and hope that one of the things that was on the moon would lead you to the conclusion of the seed, right? Instead of clearing everything on the Earth, then to find out you have to go back to the moon to come back to the Earth. So that's why I did it that way.
Yeah, with 6 of these 7 objectives gated by the Darkness Crystal, definitely paid off for you tonight. You did swap for Cecil at the end of the Giant after having done most of the XP. What kind of made you want to take him instead of sticking with the characters who you had already done all the work with?
I mean, the Porum wasn't going to really bring anything to the table. Or Palom. There it is. It was a Palom. He wasn't going to bring anything to the table. The thing was, I was going to use Cecil because I had a second Avenger. I had an Excalibur. But I'm a big dummy and didn't check my agility before I finished scrambling a couple extra eggs and caused that Z fight to go well longer than it needed to go.
Well, you can just claim that you wanted to make the race even more exciting. Less than a 2-minute finish at the end. That Z fight had us all on the edge of our seats, so it was just pure showmanship, right?
Calculated.
Poidrag, do you have any questions for Scratch? Sorry, I've been monopolizing the...
my real main question is, you went down to the moon and got everything there, but the Eplum play, any particular thing that you wanted there? Was it for levels before going to the moon, or just to see if you could find anything of note in that particular place?
I was hoping for anything of note because adamants are available, and if you get an adamant, I mean, that would have made the moon like 4 or 5 times easier. Like, I would just be able to blaze right through it. But I had a Fusoya. If I ended up finding an adamant, maybe a white spear, I mean, the white robe would be nice. Just, something to make the moon a little bit easier, since I had already by that point determined that I was going to go up to the moon before finishing the Earth.
Yep, it makes perfect sense to me.
I'm thinking back on it, if I could change one thing that I did in the seed, because I think it was pretty smooth sailing once I found the Fu and I could get up to the moon, and I think I did those bosses right. Anyone can correct me on that if they think that those bosses could have gone a little bit faster, but I maybe should have checked hair dryer chest in the back of the moon. But
It's another one of those checks that could have that adamant armor and a little bit of an infusion of HP experience, which you got through the double gold dragon and siren fight. So I could see that being a little bit of a change. It's not too big a difference, but I could see it being.
yeah, I'm probably gonna go back and check what was in that chest and kick myself later when it was something that I could have used. But I'm actually glad I did the Eblin play too, because it gave me the 1 hourglass that made that gold dragon fight really nice. Because with the Palom, I was able to do the double life on the dragon and pick up a nice hefty amount of experience. And
oh yeah, that double life glitch was so nice.
And
for all the kids out there, if you weak and then queue up an ice 2, you can actually squeeze in 2 lives when you do the gold dragons. That one's for free.
And you was going up there with less than 10 key items, so you knew you were going to go up and not get as much experience as likely you would want, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, the real thing that cemented it was the fact that I found the sirens on the moon. I was like, okay, we're good to at least dive down there and maybe kill 2 or 3 bosses, if not all of them. Kind of just fell into place. It's weird.
Yeah. One of the things you said to me in the chat after our race that we had the other day is that you felt that the seeds have been against you. Did you feel similar to that today?
Yes, but it's against me might not be the right word, because you know what the big thing about this seed is that's weird is the fact that you just have so much after playing without adamant armors and being so restricted after so long. Then this one just kind of blows everything out. You can get everything early. Checking trap chests is good. There's 7 things to do, so you're gonna be at the seed for a long time. It's actually kind of throws me for a loop.
It's similar to me, where I just don't feel like there's a easy and straightforward way through these, because you're going to be going all over the place, I feel.
I mean, we did have fun with Wyvern today, though.
Oh, then you'll wait.
Yeah. Always fun with Wyvern.
I mean, this one was very special. I had to sit there and think about it for like a few minutes because of the... I didn't remember how much HP was behind CPU. But I think, what is it? It's like, is it 30,000?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So I was just like hoping that I got like a low roll on a couple of nukes so I can get like 3 or 4 nukes in before he killed me, because I had that one stoma drop so I could get 4 nukes in.
Yeah, Soma Drop came in clutch a lot. Also being able to get that extra Cure 4 out of 2 at the Zeromus fight. Difference of 10 MP can be pretty big on these flag sets.
Yeah, I do enjoy the extra Soma Drop. If in case you get a Tela and an early Tela and you have a Soma Drop, you can clear ordeals, drop medios on things. And I mean, there is a difference between 4 weeks and 3 weeks as well for Tela, and then same thing with Fu when you're doing grinds and whatnot. I mean, I'm very glad I had the Soma Drop now that I think about it, because all I had were tense, and those bosses on the moon were not fun.
Well, hey, GG's again. Do you have your next match scheduled? Do you know when we can be looking out for that?
I do. Let me find it, because I have the memory of a goldfish nowadays. I will be against K-Drill on Sunday at 8 p.m. prime time.
All right. Well, hey, sounds good. We'll be looking out for that match. Any final thoughts before we move on tonight?
Just the same old typical thoughts. Everyone should be playing Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. Thanks to the commentators, the restreamer, the trackers, the organizers, to all the fans that came out and watched, because apparently my races are... What's the biggest thing that we can light on fire and send it into something? A mega yacht? into a iceberg. Yeah, I'll say that for my races.
Well, it was definitely a great show. I hope that a lot of folks really enjoy watching this one back. GG's on the win, and good luck with your next match.
GG's. Always a pleasure. Poydrak, pleasure. And Ben, long time. Good to hear from you, buddy. Good night, everyone.
And we will not be getting Eizan in here for an interview. GG's to him, of course. Parental duties call. It is a school night. So we're going to be moving on over to Free Enterprise 2 for the match between Martin Broadcloak and Woobear.
Another one of those very tight and difficult to really... difficult to see which way it's going to turn.
Exactly. Remember, no spoilers for this race. People watching that one may want to come back and watch this VOD to know how it ended. So just enjoy the new show. Keep watching the tournament, and I'm sure we'll be back here on Limit Break very soon. Poydrak, have a good night.
Have a good evening, everyone.